I think we're live. Okay, great. All right. Oh, great to see you guys. Let me get us on the big screen. I have another screen here so I can see everybody. And let's see if we can get this going. Let me get we're live. All right, I'm going to share this. Okay. All right. Okay, so guys, welcome. Ted, welcome. Let me come over here. Cesar, welcome. Nicholas, Veronica, great to see you. Ursula, South Africa, yay. Great to see you guys. Okay, I'm gonna put me on the pin here. All right, so how has your week been? I've been getting a lot of really beautiful, amazing messages from you guys. Thank you so much for everything, being a part of this channel, be a part of this work. It's such an honor to share with you. And if there's any topic that you want me to touch on that could help you in your journey, please let me know. Yesterday we had a master class on parasites and parasitic consciousness. It was a heavy 4-hour class. Those of you that were there kind of tuned into that. So it was interesting. I'm going to be posting a lot of information about the class in pieces for those of you that didn't attend the class. It'd be really nice to share with you guys. So, all right, let's get started. So is there a recording? Yes, there is a recording. And actually, I am going to make, I decided to make it as a class that you guys can purchase if you want to, separate if you weren't able to make it. So yeah, I will provide that for you. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to switch over here to the screen. Let me open my presentation. So as I was mentioning to everybody, unfortunately, I'm on the road and my internet bandwidth here is a bit slower than I would like. So if we get the call dropped or something, please bear with me. We will just jump right in. All right. So I want to talk about, in terms of parasites, I also want to talk about, how to hold and create a powerful protection. We talked yesterday in the class about parasitic consciousness and how we basically attract parasites into our energetic space. And so I'm going to kind of touch on that, and we're going to continue a little deeper because some people that weren't able to attend gave us some really interesting questions about the topic. So this is it's important to understand the element of parasites in this dimensional realm, because when we are unaware of how we attract or how we co-create, then we get blindsided with our creations. We don't understand why our life ends up a certain way, why we experience certain things. And really, the whole purpose of this awareness is to understand some of these universal laws and the laws of creation, really, which stem from our core belief system. So, parasitic experiences of parasitic events, life experiences, exchanges, energetic exchanges, relationships, all of this stems from the internal self going against its own self, or fighting itself, battling itself, rejecting itself. Those constant kind of self-rejections, self-limitations, those are very deep-seated programs that go down the ancestral lineage, and they are things that we keep repeating, we adopt as part of our survival mechanisms. and they really limit our creation in a very expansive way. So a lot of people that are wondering, how do I break contracts and how do I finally make the changes that I want to make? We really need to address those core belief systems. We have to access them. So today we're going to work a little bit on the identification of that, and we're going to do a little workshop on, how to access that information. Okay, and just for a brief overview, I'll share with you a few slides from yesterday's presentation on parasitic consciousness. We talked about how parasites manifest in the physical body, and essentially the majority of the parasites when they're in the body. So first of all, parasites, let's just define what it is that we are externalizing our power from an external source. We are externalizing safety, security, support, acknowledgement, love, all of those needs, the basic core needs of a human, are being externalized to the outside. It could be with people, with activities. Anytime your energy is externalized or directed outwardly in order for you to fulfill something internally that is missing, that you feel is a void. Okay, this is exactly where we start to redirect our energy into this parasitic exchange. And essentially the body, the multidimensional body, begins to deplete its energy in the centrifugal manner in which all of your life force is directed outwardly. Okay, and so what that looks like in the multidimensional body, essentially we are depleting life force. We deplete life force in such a way that all of our life force is exiting through a field. We have a bunch of holes in the field, and we are basically taking on everything because we are sponges. We are innately co-creative organisms and pulling from everything around us when we are not aware. So the human vessel is a very beautiful, intricate system of co-creation. And we walk in this world kind of moving and absorbing from our surroundings what people are feeling. Okay, so that's what the whole empath element of us has become very popular, the concept of being empath, right? Those of you that identify as empaths, in reality, every single person is an empath at different degrees based on how much they are allowing themselves to come into that feeling, acknowledge their feelings, acknowledge what they're picking up from their surroundings. And so our feelings, our intuitions, what we are sensing from our environment, these are things that we absorb into the body. And we absorb it through vibrational frequency. Okay, so if somebody is feeling angry around us, and we're curious as to why they're angry, or we're afraid, it triggers us in some way, we immediately begin to attach and apply meaning to that. So we will pull from that experience, from that emotional energy. And what entities look like is like octopus. They look like little tentacle type beings. They look like stringy things. This is after working with thousands of people over the years and asking them to describe, what do these attachments, what do these entities, what do these blockages look like to you? These are solidified, crystallized thought forms in the body that are interlinked. And I talked in depth about this, how it connects to every single organ, every chakra, every energy body. You see, our entire energy field is made up of toroidal fields. All of these are your toroidal fields of your body. And each one of these toroidal fields is oscillating at a certain vibrational frequency that is connected to organs, chakra bodies. All right, your chakras are the toroidal fields. These toroidal fields are your chakras, just to be clear. And those are processing the emotional energy and frequency that your organs are processing. Okay, your endocrine system is processing. The chakra system is the endocrine system, essentially. Okay, so anytime that we have a trigger, which is why triggers are super important for us to really tap into. Triggers are gold for you that are alchemists that are working on learning how to become free of this matrix, free of suffering, free of the limitations and the illusion of limitation in this realm. Your ability to perceive yourself as you really are is blocked by these overlays, these filters of illusion. And that is essentially what is keeping you from embodying your true self. So as we go and recover our memory for what we really are and be able to see ourselves as the whole self, that's where you start to notice how your energy is being held in the body. And if the majority of your energy is being held in a way that it's depleting, again, we are incapable. We're incapable of holding this high frequency energy within the body. So we want to take a look at how we can work with that. So let's go back to the entities. Essentially, the entities look like these tentacle-like things that they anchor, they hook into different parts of the body, both etheric, physical, and non-physical. So when we remove them, and a lot of you have been following me for a long time doing these meditations, we understand that what we are doing, the process of alchemy, is to remove these entities, these attachments, and alchemize them back to unconditional love or to source. The crystallization process of these entities and attachments, to be clear, they are not foreign entities. These are our own thought forms that have been reinforced and become crystallized in the field. Okay, so like a neural pathway that keeps getting fired and fired and fired with constant reinforcement of belief system in the body, your body looks exactly like that as well. It has a very intricate energy system that's interconnected to many layers. So every thought form that you reinforce that you haven't worked through in your body, it becomes a stagnation of energy, a point of stagnation. And so you will keep referring back and back and back to that memory, especially, of course, with trauma, right? The lower the vibrational frequency of the thought form, the more dense it is, the more you reinforce that density. Over time, it becomes crystallized. And what does that mean? That density becomes even more dense to the point where it literally manifests in the physical body as an illness, as a blockage, as an energy, block. And clearly you can see in the body when I'm looking at your body energetically, if what part of the body is sustaining. And those of you that are psychic and healers as well can identify pretty quickly where a human is holding the stagnation of energy inside the body, right? And so usually for pranic healers or healers that are working with energy, like, what is it called? Reiki, like Reiki kinds of healings, you will probably feel how the energy changes when you cross over a point in the body that is more dense. Also for sound healers, people that work with frequency, the frequency of the tuning fork changes densities as it moves through the body. Okay, so these are all ways that we identify the field is holding all this information. And really, you are the one that has to have and develop the vision to be able to tune into the body and identify these variations of energy, because they're not just things that don't matter. These thought forms that are stagnant are the entities eventually that feed off the trigger point that is created in that dense emotional stagnation. Okay, so what happens is literally as parasites, how they function is they survive, so they will stimulate, and they are a resonance. They are a frequency. So what happens is that your entire energetic field now is filled with this new frequency. Okay, so when you're born, everything is nice and open, everything is clear. Your first 7 chakras developing till the first 7 years of your life. And however you are, accumulating traumatic life experiences are teaching you how to hold your energy system. So the chakras are either contracting or they're expanding depending on how you're navigating your survival in the physical world. And essentially that process of navigation, you will learn what's the most, best survival tools energetically to maintain safe with this illusion of safety. Okay, but what happens as you develop, let's say you have a severe trauma, father was an alcoholic, abandoned, so then you have this, the void of the masculine. And our energy system comes out of balance because we don't have the representation of the masculine. So immediately, you'll see the entire left side of the body either expanding or contracting, depending on how you're taking that information, right? It might be that in your family circle, you need to take the place of the father now, right? So now you take all this responsibility on you. So the different sides of your body, so this is your toroidal system, they will reflect that because that's where the thought form and the void will have been created. So in this example, for example, it's the right side of the body. The father is abandoning. So the whole right side of the body starts to crystallize these continued reinforcements of the void of the masculine. And we overcompensate in that part of our body. So the body starts to accumulate pain, stress, anxiety on the whole right side of the body. In addition, your ability to manifest from this point of view, okay? Because what's manifestation? Remember, we exist in the third dimensional plane. It's the mother, the father. When they unite, they create the third, the child. This is the model of creation psychologically, emotionally, physically, and etherically. Okay, so we have to understand that. And the unification of all of our dualistic aspects is the key to manifestation. If in any of these aspects we're imbalanced, our manifestation is not going to go the way that we want it to go. And as a matter of fact, we will directly be manifesting from those imbalances, right? Which is the resonance that you create. So as a child, beautiful, clear frequency, then developing trauma, your energy centers start to get out of balance. And essentially, it becomes your resonance. So what happens? Just like neural pathways are reinforced, your life experiences reinforce your resonance. Okay, so let's say you have this constant feeling of the masculine, not being safe, not being trusting. Okay, you go to school, you start having problems with boys at school, teachers at school. You grow up, you go to school to work. You start having bosses that are, completely avoidant, difficult to connect with. We become overcompensating all the time. You see how the balance slowly keeps to manifest even more and more and more into your life as an experience. And then, unfortunately, now the human has 3 phases of development. Okay, we have early life, midlife, and then our late life, which is supposed to be the wisdom point. So women experience that through their cycles, right? When they go into puberty, they have their period, then they have their reproductive life cycles where they can have children, and then they go into menopause. The men also experience energetically these kinds of shifts of available creative potential through their lives. So if you reach your late life without having addressed all of those cyclical ancestral traumas that have been passed down 4 generations, your aging will be very challenging for you, okay? Emotionally, psychologically, hormonally, especially for women, but also for men. Like we have a lot of men losing their hair, all these things that are happening in our world, which, yes, partly are a result of all the chemicals and pollutants that we have, but also at the very core, it's this collective emotional healing that we're going through as an entire human race to learn how to come back into harmonic order. Okay, so the more we connect with nature, the more we align with nature, the more we'll be able to recognize harmonic order and these stages of our life and what they have to offer us. Every stage of life, we have to open our eyes really wide to be able to recognize what we need to do in that point. Okay, so those of you that are in your beginning life, you're just learning, you're developing, you're feeling, you're learning how to experience freely. Midlife, you're already implementing. The midlife is the most important time to heal all traumas, especially if you're planning on having children. Okay, I'm going to be teaching a class on the creation of life later this summer. But essentially, to create a soul is one of the most important elements and powerful elements of humans. And when humanity learns how to have that divine alchemical marriage, the creation that emerges from that marriage is a soul that is super advanced, right? It's what we're learning as star seed children, children that are highly advanced intuitively, telepathically. They remember their past lives, they remember lives in other dimensional planes. Okay, so this kind of embodied higher octave DNA is exactly what we're cultivating. And so the invitation is that we cultivate that DNA within our bodies in order to begin to inherit that down the bloodline. Because the suppression of the information of everything that we've been and all of our potential through history has really played a huge role in what we experience collectively. Okay, so all the wars, all the potential timelines of World War III, all of this is stemming from the rebalancing of this feminine masculine imbalance, the suppression of this divine knowledge of the oracle, right? Healing within each and every one of us. Women, importantly, being the holders of this oracle energy, the intuitive bodies that are bringing life, they are the portal to life. You know, they're back in ancient civilizations when this information was known and remembered. The ability to create life was on many levels. Part of it was physical, to create a physical human being, but the other part was to create the spiritual body, right? And that's ultimately what we want to learn to develop. We want to learn how to develop the spiritual body, okay, the spiritual soul. Many ancient practices, the Taoists, the Buddhists, the Hermetic schools, Sophionic schools, so many different ancient teaching schools throughout the world. I mean, there's so many to name, but they are all teaching the same thing, that what we are learning to birth is the light body once again. Okay, and we are light. There's nothing that will ever take that away from you. You are innately light just as you are. And whatever you are struggling with right now, these are filters of illusion. Okay, so one of the ways to create what's it called, blockages in your energy body is by attracting entities and attachments. It's exactly through these illusions. Okay, so how are collective parasites? I just want to share this one slide with you because it's really important for what we're talking about. Okay, so the manipulation of the masses is done through fear, through confusion, through race, through rage, through grief. Okay, so if we continue to believe that we need to stay in fear-based programs and feel helpless, disconnected, and especially confusion, which is one of the largest psyops, manipulative agendas that are kind of taking completely over the minds of people, that even in each spiritual community, there is the insertion of deep confusion about things, to the point where we're lost. We attend so many spiritual groups, but we're still lost. We're still confused. We still don't know what's true. And that's because there have been many agendas to separate us from the true understanding of what we are. In reality, our spiritual evolution is actually very simple. It's very simple. We are aligning with natural order, the natural laws of the universe, coming back to nature, learning how to recognize and discern the ebb and flow of creation, which is the ability to sustain life and death cycles in our life experience, in our emotions. Right? So being able to feel your emotions enough to understand them, right? Instead of resist them, or live in them day and night for 10, 20 years, right? So all of these things are awakening concepts that we really need to remember in order to help ourselves navigate the shifts that we are experiencing in the next especially the next 2 years, that will completely change how we are existing and co-creating. Okay, so pay attention to any time that your attention is redirected from the present moment, because It's one of the most powerful manipulations of your life force, is to externalize you from your power. And your power is being completely aligned with your present moment. As soon as a human is removed from their present moment with the illusion of time, okay, time is an illusion. Time is a construct to measure things, which it serves its purpose, right? We can get some things done. We order, but naturally we are moving by the progression of the sun. Naturally, we are moving by the resonance of the planet Earth. Naturally, we're moving by the circadian rhythm. Okay, so pay attention to your circadian rhythm rather than the constant bombarding of moving you out of the present moment. Even when we're talking about spiritual concepts of potential timelines in the future, there's a really big issue in the spiritual community that some people tap into information, and we have to be very discerning with information. Even if you hear information that can come true later, we have to be mindful about the energy that we put towards this information, because the greatest manipulative, densest energy is fear. Okay, so it's very thick, it's very dense, it manifests and crystallizes, quite quickly in this dimension. And so when we're driven by fear, people start to take action because the father has been wounded for such a long time. The mother has been wounded in our subconscious for such a long time. The connection to the divine intuition has been suppressed and turned off in the collective for a long time. So we just want to act, right? Because the masculine is the one that is, we have this patriarchal ideas and concepts that supposedly are overlaying the reality and in the systems of control. So to shift away from that would be to confide in our intuition and to trust the intuition when we are existing and navigating life. Okay, so that would be the healing of the feminine in each and every one of you. So what are you seeing? What are you tuning into? And then do you know how to define your intuition from survival? Are you intuiting from survival, from your emotional body? Okay, so when your intuition merges from the emotions, and you have no control over your emotions, I can guarantee that whatever you're tuning into is unfortunately a lower octave potential timeline. And so when we have this information published out to all the people, and then everybody starts to panic and put energy and thought, and they think they're preparing and being safe, we're actually manifesting those timelines collectively. Okay, manifestation is actually what we're learning here in this dimension. Our human race is very young. We're very immature in our manifestation potential, okay? Because we still need to learn how to manage our emotions. We need to learn how to have clear intention, and we have to learn to trust our intuition in the higher self. Okay, we're kind of figuring out how this dimension functions. And really, the mastery in this dimension is the ability to have mastery over your emotions. Okay, so that means feel them fully, no resisting, being fully in the present moment, coming into pure authenticity with yourself, not some programmed way of how to feel, but truly what you are feeling, sensing, and knowing in every moment of your day in order to really see what is there. You see, the more authentic you are, the more you'll be able to discern truth pretty quickly. Okay, because authenticity has a vibrational quality in which your entire energy system expands. And that's another very important thing to understand etherically, that when we're talking about energy systems, we're talking about the expansion of our energetic body. I mean, the more we come into harmonic order, which is authenticity, coming into our most authentic expression, right? What happens when you come into authenticity? Try it right now, wherever you are right now watching. See yourself in your space. Are you being authentic? How much of you is in judgmental energy? How much of you is in survival, controlling, resisting? All of that is the depletion of your energy. And if you just pause for a moment and just come back into a more relaxed, subtle energy state, and you observe your body and how it changes when you come into your authenticity, you'll notice that you're not excessively depleting your energy. You see, the matrix feeds off of this, because in the same way that we have entities and attachments and parasites, and then we become parasites in our own body, there are collective parasites, right? There are things that we call archons, all kinds of massive energy systems that absorb and feed off our life force in order to feed it back into the creation system of the matrix, right? And then we create an environment in this world for war, for all the horrible things that can potentially occur. Now, it's important to understand that as we evolve as a human race, it doesn't mean that the dualistic side of negativity is going to just magically eliminate. We're going to learn how to learn the opposing polarities of this creation matrix from a higher octave. And that's my invitation to you now, that you teach yourself how to embody this polarity within you, how to come into this balanced state of flowing through the polarity in a way that is a regulated nervous system. You're cultivating the 0 point in order to create and develop an energy system that is very powerful and resilient multidimensionally. Okay, so your multidimensional capacities are that you're developing your intuition, remote viewing, telepathic, all of those things that are innate to us humans, is something that we have to come back to. So one of the ways that we essentially block our highest potential in our energy bodies genetically, this is important in terms of our genetics, is that we have DNA. All of you have DNA that is incredibly powerful, right? I mean, everyone is, our DNA is magnificently powerful. And what we are invited to kind of clean and work up in the DNA essentially is all of the ancestral programs from this parasitic system that we have reinforced. Okay, so part of the shadow work is to recognize ancestral patterns of parasitism in your bloodline. Okay, so anytime that your ancestors have had to contract themselves, suppress themselves from their authentic expression, we have that memorized in our DNA. We have that memorized in our emotional imprints, which we draw from. And these are the entities and attachments that live and reside inside our field. Okay, again, they are a resonance to the experiences that you're having. The place that you live, let's say the apartment building that you live, the street that you live on, that is not random. We are brought and we are directed and pulled to what is it called? To kind of accumulate, I guess you could say, to collect. There's a self-organizing mechanism to this entire planet where human organisms, collect with one another based on resonance. Okay, so there is no random experience in this realm. And that might make you feel helpless in some ways, because you think, okay, well, where's my free will? But actually, you have incredible amounts of free will, because when you really understand that and you start to clean up these belief systems, alchemize these lower thought forms, and see yourself as you really are authentically, which is light, you are infinite potential, immediately your reality will change, your environment will change around you. Okay, and I have tested this theory in my own life time and time and time and time and time again, and I know many of you that are my students and clients also have done so. So it's just remembering the innate power that we have. Okay, All right, guys. So I'm going to stop right there. Let's get into the meditation. Wow, Mafona, thank you so much for that super chat. It's so generous of you. Thank you. Love you. I'm going to stop right there. And then if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and let me know. Let's go into the meditation, and I'm going to walk you through this little workshop to work with these entities and attachments. We're going to learn how to clean our energy body. Hold on, we have a question here from Ted. Questions in capital letters. Let's see. Ted says, would this parasite the process, or rather the manifestation of, question, sorry, Ted, not understanding your question here. When our soul possibly decides to make this life very difficult for specific lessons, has this ever been shifted to such a degree that the soul's lessons get fulfilled and the process of misery gets fully shattered and life turns fully around? Okay, so let's talk about incarnation cycles, okay? First of all, you are attracted to your lineage based on resonance to begin with, which means that whatever your soul wishes to experience in order to expand and grow its awareness, it chooses the family in which it's going to do that. And usually, because your evolutionary process, we're a field of consciousness from which, our family members are emerging, our ancestors have emerged from, we are emerging from. We have contractual agreements. We make agreements with one another to experience these contrasting experiences, to provide an opportunity for us to learn whatever it is that we're wanting to learn. Okay, so through you, the universe is rebalancing itself. It's continuously coming back into harmonic order through your life. There really is no life that isn't meaningful and that doesn't participate in the evolution of the collective. That's also very important to know. Some people that feel overwhelmed about their life or feel that they don't belong, that's absolutely not the case. So basically, let me break down your question, because then you ask, has there ever been shifted to such a degree that the soul's lessons get fulfilled and the process of misery gets fully shattered? So that being said, the contractual agreements that we create, we are born with those. The month that we're born in is a snapshot of the universe at that time, which is a photograph. You are a photograph of the universe. You're a photograph per se of vibrational frequency at the time of your conception. That frequency is made up of lessons, emotions, thought forms that the universe is moving through you. Okay, so you are born into this planet with a lot of purposes, you can say, right? Opportunities for experience. Now, as I mentioned before, you come in as this pure divine, completely open, connected. You still remember that you're source. And then from the birth until the age of 7, you start to program yourself. The programs are not random. They are an exactly designed for you to meet those contractual agreements that you have made with your family members and ancestors and your soul for your evolution. Again, nothing is random, nothing is unnecessary. So we can clear these karmic contracts, because in the 3-dimensional matrix, remember, we fall asleep when we're born. Well, not necessarily when we're born, but as we develop, we fall asleep. When we're children, we're still pretty awake, right? We go through the veil of forgetting, right? So we forget who we really are when we incarnate into the density of the physical. And then we start to slowly forget even more, okay? So the remembering of what you really are is the ability to clear those karmic contracts through the matrix experience. And when we clear these karmic contracts, you are lifting up and clearing all of those energetic parasites that are collective. Okay, so we have collective and ancestral parasites. Parasites are the blockages, the emotional blockages that come down to your ancestral lineages, the traumas that come down the ancestral lineages. So we clean that up by cleaning the contracts. Every human, their collectively, every single human, one of their purposes collectively is the healing of their ancestral lineage. Okay, that's the invitation to every single human. They can or they can decide not to do that. But always their life will model an octave higher than the one before of these lessons. So in healing work, we destroy these karmic contracts and we choose to wake up consciousness, to remember who we really are, and start to create with intention. We align the higher self in the present moment and live these same lessons, because the soul is learning through you. There's a profound intention in you, in the creation of you. And that intention is lived out through the level of awakening that you just choose to experience in this lifetime. As you dissolve those contracts, you set the intention that you're now living life through your higher self. That is how you completely shift your life experiences. And in a sense, you are learning the lessons from a higher octave by how you applied your free will. Because remember that when you're unconscious, you're just repeating, right? So that's exactly what we're doing. We're just repeating the programs. So to break those repetitive cycles of unconsciousness, you are co-creating with intention. That's the difference. Completely awake and conscious with intention, co-creation. That changes the DNA, it changes the harmonic structure of your body, the vibrational frequency, it changes how you hold in process emotions, it changes the expansion of your energetic field. So as a result, your timelines will absolutely change in resonance with this new intentional creation. Okay, so and then in terms of lessons getting fulfilled, we have infinite potential. That's the thing. But in order to access that infinite potential, we have to break those karmic contracts. Okay, that's part of the awakening process. I hope that answers the question. Ayla, if our will is our own, can it be as simple to tell our body that no parasites are allowed in the temple? Well, yes, but you see, thought forms, remember, are many layers. So if this demand is like, you're not allowed to have parasites in the body, and the root emotion is fear, you're still a parasite. You're still existing in parasitic consciousness. So again, you're going to manifest more of that kind of challenging experience, fearful experiences to challenge that reality which you subconsciously believe. Okay? And so that's why we have to know ourselves, right? That there's a saying, if you know yourself, the world, if you don't know yourself, the world will tell you who you are. What is that? That's matrix cyclical pattern reliving, right? You're just simply repeating what ancestors did. You're taking all the conditioning from this matrix. You are infused with patterns of vibrational frequency that make you feel emotions, and other parasites are feeding through your life, through your expression. This unconscious, disconnected self is just repeating and playing out things. So really, we have to shift our core belief system back to the authentic self that you really are, which is the observer, the 0 point. You are the 0 point of infinite potential, non-judgmental observer. Okay. And that's how you develop the Merkaba, essentially, in which you start to move in a centripetal way. Your life force, you are very aware of where your life force is at all times. You are very intentional with your creations, with your words. Now, your demands and it's not even a demand, it's an embodiment, which is a totally different thing. So if you embody the thought form and your actions, your thoughts, your emotions are congruent with your core belief system that supports that, now you will be. Okay? Because everything is frequency. The Hermetic law, everything is resonance. If at the core of your frequency there's doubt in yourself, fear, helplessness, that's the language that speaks creation in this universe. Okay, not just the superficial thoughts. Because you see, the more unconscious we are, the less power we have over anything, even ourselves, right? That we are actually what we can control. The more conscious you are, the more you can affect many dimensions. Even in your dream state, you become lucid, you become conscious. Remember, the contracts that we're living out, they're not just in the physical realm, we're experiencing them in many dimensions. Okay, I hope that answered the question. V says, are we also able to clear karmic contracts and clean our energetic bodies in our dream state? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I teach a very simple energetic hygiene called GPAC, grounding, protecting, aligning, co-creating. And this is a very, very simple way to address the main and most important energy systems of your body. Okay, so first of all, come fully into your body, be present in your body, grounding, protecting, you're aware of your energetic field. If you are not aware of your energetic body, you have illnesses, pain, you have all kinds of psychological problems like ADHD, which are basically developed manifestations of leaking energy, leaking life force, and the lack of integration of the self in the emotional body. Your emotions are all over the place. You can't control your emotions. And, we just have this lack of ability to manifest in the physical. So when you learn how to do that in your waking state and it becomes a daily practice, it bleeds into your dream state. And I actually practice this every night in my lucid dreams. But guess what? You can also do it at death. Okay, and that's something that I learned through my near-death experience. That when I got to the moment of leaving my body, and the white light appeared, and all these ancestors showed up ready to go, I again asked to see my contractual agreement and broke that contractual agreement and understood what led me to that near-death experience. And when I learned the lesson, I understood what I needed to do, and the choice was available to me if I wanted to come back in the body or continue. Okay? So, sorry, my light power just went out. I hope I didn't lose you guys. So this is super important, and this is how we can learn to break karmic contracts even in our dream state. For those of you that are contactees, we are breaking contracts with parasitic beings that we are attaching to. And yesterday I talked in the parasitic class that even ET contact can be parasites that are attached to our ancestral lineage, that we have to work those contracts with. If you have experiences of having dark entities visiting you every night, break those contracts. Okay, so your management of your contractual agreements is basically the application of your free will. Okay, if you're not using your free will, you're just kind of moving along with the cyclical patterns. Nancy says, how can I control my mind? I see this sudden sharp flash of an image like a knife cutting through a face that comes across my vision. This started happening since my brother spoke about it. Okay, well, we need to take a look at first, the symbolism that this provides for us, because what I would focus on is the emotional trigger that first came into your body when your brother spoke about it the first time, okay? Because sometimes we carry entities and attachments, which means that lower thought forms, when people watch horror films or when they watch like those murder cases, why on earth people would ever be interested in watching that? But those are entities feeding off that like fear, just like lust. There's these desire for this gory or this pain and suffering of people, right? So we are attracted to that, and then we want to hear that. So that's a really good indication to know that we have entities and attachments within us. So first, I would kind of take a look at where your brother is at and where he got that and why he speaks about it. And for you to begin to understand your emotional trigger, why was that an emotional trigger for you? That's the key for you. Because what happened is that you latched on to that imagery energetically. You hooked on. So you became attached and you became identified with it. And so you want to detach yourself and unidentify with it in order for you to regain your energy and your power. Because when we become attached, every time that we apply a meaning to something, that's an energetic cord. Okay, so get familiar. What's the emotional trigger? The emotional trigger will be that when you alchemize that emotional trigger with the exact opposite emotion in your body, that's the alchemy. Okay, that will prevent you from this occurring again with someone else or something else. That there's obviously a frequency in this imagery that is triggering. Okay, so yeah, so and the thing is that as you're more intuitive, you're going to have more visions. You're going to have tons of visions. In fact, you're going to realize that you're surrounded by all kinds of things, elements of the plants, um, uh, disembodied souls, all kind. We are completely surrounded by all kinds of beings around us at all times. So part of maturing in your intuition ability is the ability to create resilience enough to see light and dark constantly and maintain your center core connection as source. And your emotions are how you're going to control that. Because if you see something and then you're like, oh my gosh, this thing, I just saw it, all your energy is going and you become identified with that thing. Okay, so this is how we, again, accumulate attachments. The form of becoming neutral in the 0 point is to have no attachments. We don't need attachments because you're already the all. Attachments are a limitation of your expression, which is infinite. Okay, so this is something that we can kind of take a look at. Teresa, thank you so much for that super chat. You're so generous. Thank you. Love you. Love you so much. Thank you so much. So kind. Um, yes, my brother emotionally hurt at that time when he said such a thing. Okay. Yeah, Nancy. Yeah, so, I guess a part of kind of looking at people suffering is to not become identified with it. And that's really hard when it comes to family members, because with family members, we really want to protect them or we want to help them. But in reality, the way to help them is to become an example of peace and harmony so that they can much quicker recognize how to reach that vibrational point. And if anything, feel that point, because everything is energy, right? So if you sustain a state of peace and harmony within yourself, they will vibrationally recognize and remember that quicker. Okay. And again, everything is free will. So every person that is experiencing suffering is going through what they need to go through. And sometimes we, by interfering or by trying to make them not feel the pain, we can actually pull them off track even more. So that's something that the American Indians and a lot of ancient cultures really talked about, is the law of free will, in that most parasitic beings will interfere, right? Because they feed off your, what happens when we try to resist something? You fear the pain and you project that onto another person. So you resist and you want them to resist feeling the pain too. Both blind leading the blind in that scenario. So to see light and to embody light is to understand the wisdom behind all life experiences. Every human has to evolve through their suffering as they need. And the best way to help is by holding that powerful state in harmonic order so that they can quickly recognize and remember that. Okay, that's usually the most powerful way to do it. Yeah, so let's come over here. Karen says, my friend has bipolar and is manic now. Is this parasitic? It seems she isn't really in her body and something else has taken over. Well, you basically answered your own question, Karen. And I talked about this a lot yesterday, that basically when we're not home, this becomes a home for parasites, right? So all kinds, because again, we are like sponges that are absorbing from everything around us. And when we're unconscious, we will take from other things in order to believe it's us, right? To recognize ourselves, because we don't know ourselves. Again, that saying, if you don't know yourself, the world will tell you who you are. Okay, so again, energetic hygiene, holding your space, being in your body is the number one counteractive to parasites. If you refuse your life, if you refuse your incarnation, if you refuse the family you're born into, if you refuse your present moment, if you're resisting your emotions, if you're resisting and accepting your body, if you're resisting and not accepting your body, if you're resisting the experiences and the things that happen to you, you are perfect ground for parasites. Okay, so one of the things that I talked about yesterday that has really gone up over the past, I'm gonna say probably 6 years, I've been seeing, oh, a hawk. That's a good sign. Is the increase in bipolar, manic, schizophrenic, multiple personality cases with people, and it's very interesting. But this is a result of leaving the body, and it's a severe denial of your existence. Okay, and it's a little deeper. I don't have time to talk about all of that today, because there's very specific emotions that the human is feeling that is creating a complete disassociation with the body. Okay, and we become fractalized as a result of trauma, and so we pull from all these fractals of ourselves, and there's no integration. So for bipolar disease, it's a profound reintegration. We have to go back to the moment where the shattering first started. And the shattering will be both etheric body and the chakra systems. Usually 3 or more of the chakras are shattered energetically. Okay, so there's major rips and tears in the chakra system. So they have to be brought back. The person has to be brought back into their body. Vision Invasion says, since 1 year, because of a parasitic neighborhood environment, I lost the ability to have frequent deep dreams. Now it's just from time to time. So how can I regain that ability? So one thing that happens is that when we experience traumatic experiences, we get scared of our senses, of what we feel, what we see, what we know. And so to protect ourselves, we kind of close ourselves off. Okay, so in this case, the invitation is we need to heal the root chakra, because the root chakra, it's like cracked. It's like it doesn't feel like it's safe. It doesn't feel like it has a foundation. We need to come fully back into the body. We need to ground into our present moment. And we need to learn how to, again, create the 0 point regardless of what's happening outside of us energetically, okay? Because there's a split that happened here. So we have to like reintegrate that back into the present moment in order to feel again, okay? So chances are this is a pattern in life that, we haven't really been allowed to feel fully what we feel. And to alchemize this, it's really coming back into your authenticity. Okay, so you're really coming back to your authenticity, allowing yourself to feel again. And that's the development of your intuition. Okay, so first you come into the present moment, acknowledge what you're feeling, acknowledge what you're sensing, and move out of resistance to everything. Okay, move out of resistance, come back to the 0 point, come back to your authentic self, come back to, authenticity is really interesting. And I was thinking about this today, this morning, that, our spiritual awakening can be almost instant if we would just allow ourselves to be authentic, like with who we really are all the time, without having to modulate ourselves in group settings or responding in certain ways or behaving certain ways. The human loses so much of its life force in constantly pretending and acting and being and juggling other people and other scenarios. We have to wake up from that dream state and come back. And we're going to find out that being human is actually very calm, very simple, very quiet. There isn't the need for so much exchange. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with uncomfortable silences. They're uncomfortable with a pause in between reactions. And that's conditioning. That's matrix conditioning. It's also parasites that feed through the adrenaline and through the emotions. Okay. So we need to develop that sensitivity again. Okay. Let me come here. Nancy, my friend's daughter is bipolar. She needs your help. Well, if I can do anything to help, please do reach out to me. Karen says, thank you. Shutter chakras. Oh boy. Yeah. So let's get into the meditation and see what we can do. Okay. Ted says, it also takes the family member willing to listen, feel, and learn. Yes, of course. But again, our work is not really to change anyone else because we cannot change anyone else. They have to choose to change. But there is a powerful shift in energy for someone that is fully present, and it changes the frequency of your environment. And just that polarity, because your energy, when you're moving in a centripetal manner, you become magnetic. Okay, so the soul of the person will want to return back into the body because it feels safe in your presence. I've noticed this many times in my work. So yeah, test it out and see if that works. All right, let's get into the meditation. I'm going to answer more questions at the end. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let's go ahead and ground, come fully back into the body. Breathing deeply. Go ahead and release your day, release your relationships, release all the things that are taking your attention, bring yourself back into the present moment. Okay, let's go ahead and tune into our energy body. Make sure it's completely solid all around you. No holes, no tears, no openings. Go ahead and own your space. Above you, below you, front, back, side to side. Focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine, shrinking the root chakra down to the size of a dime. The sacral, the solar. Breathing. Expanding your heart. Expanding your throat. Expanding your third eye. Going up into the crown. I want you to select a color that is very healing for you. What color is that? The first one that comes to mind is usually the right one and exactly what your body needs right now. You're going to visualize from the center of the earth a powerful wave of that color coming up your feet, absorbing up into the shins, the calves, the knees, into the solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy at your center core. From source, go ahead and pull down a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy down the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy. And take 10% back down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and take 80% up to the crown of your head, coating the outside of your bubble. And as you see this gold and healing energy coating the outside of your energetic body, I want you to call back your life force from people, places, and things that you've been in contact with this week, allowing yourself to recollect your energy. You're going to imagine it returning to your body like golden light. Go ahead and take that final 10% back into the body, absorbing into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones. Direct this healing energy to all the parts of the body that require more healing, more love, more attention. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start to clear our energy body. I want you to visualize that your body is becoming invisible. We're going to do something called the body of glass. You're going to imagine that your body is invisible. You're going to start at the tips of your toes. And you're just going to imagine that your body is becoming invisible all the way up your toes, turning into glass. All of the toes are disappearing. The feet are disappearing. The The cells, the skin, the muscles are disappearing, the bones, going up into your ankles, disappearing. Going up into your shins and your calves, it's disappearing. You're looking down at your body and it's disappearing. Going up into your knees and your thighs, and the body's disappearing. All you can see is the floor and the chair. As it goes up into the chair, your thighs are disappearing. Going up to your hips are disappearing. Going up into your root of your body, disappearing. The bottom, the back, everything disappearing. Going up into the solar plexus and it disappears. All you see is the chair, empty chair. Go up into your chest, it's disappearing. Into the shoulders, it disappears. Down the arms, disappear. The fingers. Going up into the neck, it's disappearing. The face, the hair, the eyes, the brain, the crown of your head, everything disappears. All you see is a light. So as you look down, you're going to see the chair empty underneath you, the floor empty underneath you, your shoes empty. And just watch yourself here as a light. You can see what color your light is. You're going to feel much lighter in your body. And I want you to begin to gently notice how it feels to just be a light right here. Sit here in absolute stillness. Focus on nothing else but just you being a light. I want you to visualize the bubble around your body, really nice and solid. No openings, no holes. You are just a light at the center of this bubble. Relaxing all the tension, releasing your breath, observing yourself as a light. This is called body of glass. It's one of the most powerful protections. You no longer provide a resistance for energy to attach to link onto, to anchor into. You're just pure light. Okay, so now we're going to begin to use our intuition. I want you to tune into your energetic body, everything that's inside of your bubble. I want you to scan your bubble and I want you to notice if you see any dark spots. Dark spots, blockages, heat spots, clouds, pictures, objects. Go ahead and look down at your light body. You'll be able to see all the blockages that you are carrying with you throughout your day pretty clearly now. So you're going to grab your hand, which is made out of glass, it's invisible. You're going to pull out all of those blockages, all those dark shadows, and you're going to see a vacuum of light underneath you. It's going to suck it out down to the center of the earth or out to the crown of your head. I want you to direct this energy intentionally. Everything you're releasing is returning back to source. So scan your bubble. Be very thorough. Don't doubt any intuition, even if it feels like too much, or even if you're not sure, if you're making it up. Your intuition is always right. It's always the first thing that comes up. So don't doubt what you sense. You might feel like a very vague sensation of something being there. Well, that's it. With practice, it'll be immediate recognition. Notice that the more relaxed you are, the more you are just observing yourself as a light, the easier it is to clear and remove these blockages. You can scan the entire bubble around you, 360, moving clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever feels right for you. Scan that entire bubble from top to bottom, clearing out all the debris that is there in your field. Try not to be too curious to what you're removing. Just feel into it. If you notice an emotion, acknowledge the emotion and keep going. The more you apply meaning to these things, the more you become attached. Continue to see yourself as this light. As your bubble becomes clearer and clearer, you'll notice that it becomes brighter or it feels even more lighter. Anchor yourself down to the center of the earth, ground yourself. You're going to see a room filled with karmic contracts. All of the agreements that you have made coming into this life in order to learn, evolve, and experience. I want you to shine your crown light on top of all of those contracts and dissolve them. Fill that room with your creative color of your crown, color of your higher self. You're going to go to the next room. Go ahead and close the door and go down the hall to another room. And in this room, you're going to see all the shadows of people that don't have your best interest, people that challenge us, people that trigger and do not have our best interest. As you see those shadows, go ahead and shine your light on top and dissolve. As that room is empty, you're going to see a bundle of sticks. Go ahead and pick up those sticks and break them in half. This represents all the cords that are connecting from you to them and them to you. Clear them out. Inhale deeply, calling back your life force into your body. And let go of anything that you may have taken on that doesn't belong to you. Okay. I want you to go into a third room now. In this third room, you're going to see full of chairs. It's a huge room full of chairs, and all these chairs are your guides. They're where your guides live. Allow yourself to call forth the guide that you need at this time right now, whatever it is that you're working on. Ask for that guide to show themselves to you. You're going to see them in front of you. You can go ahead and introduce yourself to them and let them introduce themselves to you. And go ahead and allow yourself to ask the question that you need. You're going to maintain your root, your sacral, your solar closed, your heart, your throat, your third eye open, grounding yourself fully in your body and communicating with this guide. Allow yourself to receive the downloads that they're being given. Okay, go ahead and allow yourself to get the final messages, integrate into your body, and you can leave that room. I want you to allow yourself to clear your energy body one more time, and you're going to focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and open that root chakra. Allow yourself to visualize at your toes that your body is coming back into its full form. Your toes begin to materialize. Your ankles begin to materialize. Your feet begin to materialize. Your shins, your calves, they begin to materialize. Your knees, your thighs. Materialize, you go up into your hips, and your shoes are filled. Your chair is filled now with your body, going up into the hips and the solar plexus, going back into the chest, the shoulders, the arms, the neck, face, your head, your hair, your brain. All parts of your body are materialized back into your body. Ground yourself down to the center of the earth. You'll notice that the body feels heavier and more dense. That you cleared this energetic space. So allow yourself to clear your energy body as you open the root chakra back into a balanced state, the sacral back into a balanced state, the solar back into a balanced state. You're going to close your heart a little bit. Your throat, close it a little bit. Your third eye. So you went from looking to a martini glass to a tumbler, basically, a tall glass. You're going to go up into your crown, illuminating your crown, your higher self. I want you to align your higher self with your career, align your higher self with your family, with your relationships, your children, partners, health, vitality, intentional creation, sexual energy, money, abundance, and finally your purpose. As you intentionally align your higher self with all areas of your life, you're going to illuminate the eighth as you align yourself, your higher self, with source. The ninth, the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And above you is a powerful white light, a source. I want you to anchor that white light down into your body, like a pillar of white light going down to the perineum into the center of the earth. You're going to see another pillar of light through the center of your belly, out through your back, holding you in the perimeter of the earth. So you have access point of source light and earth light through your body. Make sure those pillars of light are white, solid, unobstructed all the way around. And go ahead and open your eyes and bring yourself back. And welcome. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was an honor to share with you. I'm going to just jump really quickly into the questions to see if you have any questions. Let me know how that felt for you. How did it feel to go invisible into the body of glass? This is actually one of the most powerful energy healing techniques. And it's very often used in martial arts. In martial arts, when we are being thrown a punch or energy is being thrown at us and we redirect that energy through us, as opposed to resisting, because resistance is what creates a very dense energy that something can bounce off of. And so we'll feel it, they'll feel it, whoever's throwing energy at you. So this is an imbalanced exchange of energy. So the one that is in the mastery of their emotions, things move through you, okay? All right, my love. So let me come into the questions here. Smart Money Guy says, years ago, I lost confidence as a financial advisor due to the loss of an investment. What can I do to heal the past and allow the wisdom passed through to be a better service? Well, first thing, we have to accept it. Okay, so something that happened last year and it's still affecting us emotionally, mentally, we haven't accepted it. So we have to accept, first of all, what drove us to that, how you even got in that situation to begin with. How did you even intend on becoming a financial advisor to begin with? To begin to notice if from the beginning, were you in harmony with this intention? Okay. Or did it come from survival? Did it come from proving something to someone? Did it come from giving ourselves value and worth? Because if it's something that affected us emotionally and still continue to affect us, chances are we have completely identified with that career, our personality, our sense of self is entangled with that event and that experience. So we have to call our energy back. Basically, we have to come back into what we really are, accept fully all of those little choices that we made in order to accept ourselves. And at the very core of that is to understand that our worth has nothing to do with any of those experiences. We are worthy no matter what. And the cultivation of that worth will even change the direction of your life and the things that you're attracted to. This is how we begin to change our creative process. Okay. Monica says, I was in the last scanning. I fell asleep after my turn and was not clear what to do with this info. Is there a recording? What to do for the complete clearing? Hey, Monica. Yeah, if you joined the clearing, you should have already received the recording, and you guys can play back everything that was said in the event. And yeah, so these are really awesome. We have them every month. Please feel free to sign up. I think our next event is on the 26th of July. Check that out. Let's see, more questions. Laura McPlant, thank you so much. It was tricky, but this was not quite so hard as usual. Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Teresa, thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. I'm the powerful light of love. JR, yes. Lydia says, what does it mean when you have trouble feeling, seeing, connecting to the presence of your guides? Yeah, it just means that essentially we have to heal the relationship with the feminine. Okay, so we don't trust. There's an element of ourselves that doesn't trust. It doesn't trust external things, and it doesn't trust internal communication. So we have to work with realigning with what we know and trusting what we know. In reality, we don't need to manifest guides for anything. We can just unify with our own internal voice, with our higher self voice. And that can be the voice that provides us the guidance that we need. But guides are, working with your guides, we're surrounded, of course, we're one with everything. So we can always pull from our highest evolved self to access information that we need. We simply have to shift our frequency in order to get away from, make space essentially for that, because those are much more expansive energies, and usually our body is pretty contracted energetically. So we block this massive infinite potential that is available to us. So yeah, so self-trust, you need to cultivate a deeper self-trust in your intuition. Nancy says, if we break all the contracts, then I hesitate. I hesitated because if something good has to come from those contracts, nothing that's good will be eliminated from those contracts because those contracts are karmic contracts. And basically, these are the agreements that we made to learn experiences through the matrix. And the matrix is always making us experience contrast. So the majority of it comes from ancestral conditioning. That's the contraction of the ancestral conditioning. So the cause and effect in a low density is basically the repetition of fear-based belief systems. Okay, so we don't want to learn these experiences from fear-based beliefs or separation. We want to learn the same things from a higher octave, and that's what we're doing. When we eliminate those contracts, we choose to wake up consciousness and apply our free will in how we're experiencing things. Okay. Nancy, in meditation, I tried to keep one contract first, but later I said, okay, dissolve it. I can make new one, better one. Exactly. And so the intention is that as you know yourself more deeply, you'll understand why you created the contracts that you created. So these can be really traumatic life experiences, things that you feel are out of your power. You'll begin to understand how and why you manifested them. And it's really important that we all understand why we create. That's part of being awake, that you have to take responsibility for your creation. You create everything, and you have to know why. Most people don't know why because they're completely disconnected from themselves. So all of these, hand in hand. Ted said, not seen this technique of meditation in far too many years since martial arts. Thank you for bringing this method to us. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Amazing that you had it in martial arts. That's fantastic. Margot says, phenomenal meditation, best ever, deepest gratitude. Thank you so much, Margot. This work is so deep. I feel I have to catch up sometimes in my body. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Karen, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you. I look forward to your videos and repeat many, and I know it's helping. Love you, Karen. You're amazing. Okay. Lydia says, yes, distrust is what I was feeling. There you go. There you go. So Nancy says, oh, thank God I cleared those karmic contracts. I hesitated at first. I completely understand. And we'll talk more about contracts. I think I have a video on my channel on contracts in the Emotional Mastery Challenge, 30-day challenge. Check that one out because I talk a lot about contracts there, okay? All right, guys, as always, thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. I love you so much. I really hope that this work helps you and brings you into harmonic order as better and better as possible, into peace and harmony. All right, much love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.